there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I've got some fun crafts for you today. I'd like to thank Vevor for sponsoring this video. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some vintage farmhouse fabulous DIYs using fabric, but first let's take a look at the Vevor 15 by 15 Auto Heat Press. I do want to make it very clear Bella is not included. I'm sorry about that. This is, like I said, the 15 by 15 Auto Heat Press. I've taken everything out of the bag, so you have the machine, of course, then you've got the manual. Then there's this bag here that has the plug-in, a handle, a screwdriver, a couple of screws, and one other bag with heat-resistant gloves. I'll take everything out of the bag in a minute and show you it all. The handle goes right here in this slide-out tray. I love this machine because it just kind of raises and lowers. It's very quiet. It heats up in about 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so that's awesome. And it's got 3 preset buttons. You don't have to set anything. You can just go with what it is already set to. I did go ahead and set one, but it's so easy to do. And then once you do set it, if you turn the machine off and on, when you come back to it, it remembers it. It's got that memory. It takes all sorts of, like canvas bags, thick sweatshirts, all that kind of stuff. So here's the handle, the 2 screws, and the screwdriver. I'm going to put that in off camera. Like I said, really easy. Then we have the heat-resistant gloves. I find I don't use them a lot, but I have them handy. And of course, the plug-in, okay? Skipping forward, I have my handle in the tray. The tray is very smooth, glides out and in so easily. For the lid to go down, it's the plus button. For the lid to come up, it's the minus button. The 3 preset modes are right here, and to switch between the modes you just hit the mode button. If you want to change one of the modes, what you do is hit the setup button on that particular mode, and then the temperature will pop up. You hit the plus or minus to change it, then you hit the mode button, the seconds will pop up, hit the plus or minus to change it, and then you hit the mode button again and it will save it into memory. So if you turn the machine on and off, it's always there for you unless you change it again. Now the heat temperature, when you go to start up your machine, it'll start rising up to the heat depending on whatever mode you're on, and that little light will be on. When it is done after about 4 minutes 30 seconds, that little light will turn off and it's ready to go. So I think I pretty much covered the basics of using this machine. It's really user-friendly, very easy to use. Now I will have a link down below to this machine so you can check it out. If you sign up for the free member account, all websites seem to want you to do it these days, the price will automatically go down a little bit. And then if you use my coupon code, which is listed down below on top of that, it's going to save you even more money. So check it out if you're interested after you watch my video. With that said, let's move right on into project number 1. For this project, I'm using this grain sack fabric I got off eBay. I'll have a link down below, and I cut 2 pieces at 15 by 15. It's a little bit on the small side, but you can make it whatever size you want. And then optional, I have ripped a piece of muslin fabric at 10.5 tall by 12 wide, and then I'm going to put a little bit of batting underneath it just to raise this up. You could skip both of these pieces if you want to. We're going to start with the design for our pillow we're making today. Now, for all 3 designs today, I have made up a pattern or a printable for you. The link to my blog will be in the description box. There'll be a PDF and a PNG. I think I finally mastered the PNG from my iPad. For some reason, it was always hard to do from my iPad, but I think I mastered it so that those of you with electronic cutting machines, you can pull the PNG file into your program and then just delete the background. I hope it works. Somebody email me. My address is in the description box. Let me know. Otherwise, it's back to the drawing board. Okay, now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit before we move to the heat press. Those of you that are gluers, pretend your design is on here. You're going to take this whole ensemble and you're just going to glue it down to the top layer of your pillow. Us sewers are going to sew around it, okay? Because I'm telling you now because later I forget to tell you to glue, all right? Now we're going to move to the heat press machine. All right, here it is. Here's the 3 modes. Now I end up going with mode 3. I do a practice run first. Mode 3 is a higher temperature and a lower setting, to set it. It's like 40 seconds, I think. I do that practice run and it's too hot. It kind of melts and wrinkles the vinyl. So I go to my old standby. I set my number 3 to 340 degrees, 30 seconds. I set that to memory. It works great. Once that's done, it starts heating up. That light's going to go on. And then once it's finished, you're going to see that light go off right next to those top numbers up there. You just seen that go off. Now here is our design. It's on the material. I've got it centered. I'm old school. I like to put butcher paper over it, but you don't have to, okay? And then I'm just going to slide it in. I'm sorry, the heat press, you don't see the top button, but you'll see it in the later projects, the top of the machine. I just pushed down that plus button, it lowered, and when it's done here, it's automatically going to raise and that tray is going to slide out. One moment, please. And here it goes. Now it's ready. That's how easy it is. It did 3 little beeps and it slid out. Now, mine is a heat. I can peel it warm, so I'm just peeling it off warm here. Perfect. It came out wonderful. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this to the sewing machine, top layer only. And I'm going to sew around it. Gluers, remember, you're gluing it down. I showed you that earlier. So, of course, here I am sewing it. I'm going to go around it twice. And I'm going to go around it twice crooked because I just want it to look a little more vintage and farmhouse and fun. I don't know why it is when I do kind of vintage and farmhouse, I like crooked sewing. I don't know why. It's just me. That's my thing. But of course, as you see here, we're sewing it ready to go. If you like straight, you do you, right? We love the you do you saying. All right, once that's done, here it is. You can see all my crookedness. It just gives it a little bit of personality. Now, real easy. This project is so easy, fun, but I think it looks great. You're going to put your 2 front and back pieces of fabric together. If you're a gluer, you're going to glue around the edge 3 3/4 away around between the 2 fabrics. Okay, and then you're going to stop about a hand width away wherever you want and leave that open for stuffing. Sewers, I'm going to sew around it again off camera. I sew around it twice because this particular fabric is a little bit of a loose weave and I want it to give it a little bit more stability, plus it'll match what I did with the center design area. Here is my opening, and then of course I'm just going to begin to stuff it. Once you're done stuffing, if you're a gluer, you can, of course, glue your opening closed. And if you are a sewer, you sew your opening closed. Easy as that. This thing is almost done. All right, so now I'm going to go take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to clo it sewed. I'm going to sew it closed. All my life, everybody. Sew it closed. I'm going to do 2 sewing lines so it matches the rest where I went around twice, the rest of the pillow. Here it is, all the way done. And now I'm just going to pull on the edges of the fabric and just kind of distress and fray those edges there to give it that nice kind of vintage farmhouse look. I guess the vintage kind of comes from the design and then the farmhouse comes from the fabrics and stuff we use. That's why I called it vintage farmhouse. Now I want to add a little bit extra. Nobody freak out. It's okay. I've got some chalk paint here. This is Debbie's Design Diary DIY black chalk paint mixed with water, and I'm going to add a little bit of splatters to it. It's okay because after 28 days it fully cures and then that paint is not coming out. I've got some things like in my kitchen where I did splatters or whatever, let it cure for 28 days, and now I can wash it, use Lysol wipes. None of that paint comes off, so it should be perfectly safe to wash if you want to wash your pillow. So I dip my fan brush in it, wipe off the excess, tap it, get some little splatters. It adds a little bit of personality. That makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. Let's move on to project number 2. For this project, we're going to actually make a canvas carry bag using some canvas, that same fabric we used in our pillow, and some ribbon. But if you don't want to make a canvas bag, you can certainly just buy one nice and easy and then put your design on top, which would kind of be these 2 pieces here, just kind of like we did the pillow. And I'm going to model the pattern after this particular canvas bag. And I made it, of course, as I usually do, so that gluers can do it and sewers can do it, of course. But if you don't want to mess with making a bag, then pre-buy one. It's nice and easy. So this is canvas fabric. You can get it at Joann's. I'll try to have a link down below for you. It is 15 inches wide, and then I have one long piece cut at 30 inches. If you need to do it in 2 pieces, because maybe you're kind of doing it with remnants, of course you'll want those 2 15-inch pieces, but one long 30-inch piece is going to make this so much simpler, okay? The top piece, I'm adding an extra piece of batting here just to give it a little thickness on top, and then the top piece is 11 inches by 11 and a half. Okay, 11 and a half tall, 11 wide. And then this is just two pieces. They're 23 inches long. They're about 1.5 inches wide, and it's the Simplicity brand from Walmart. Now, those of you that are experienced sewers, if you want to just make the handles, these are for handles out of the canvas, I would still go for each handle about 23 inches long, and I would probably go about the width. Let's see, these are 1.5 inches, so I'd probably go 3 inches wide, and then that way you can fold it over and sew it together, okay? And we're going to add it up like this at the top, of course, for our handles. So let's work on our design here. If you like this design, when you go to the blog, the PDF file is in one file. You'll get all three designs, because what I did is I separated the logo, then separated the bottom, and then I put it all in one unit. The PNG, however, you have to click on each one as you want it. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know how to get it all into one file. So I thought this was cute because I created the logo, and then, of course, coffee beans, product of DIY, because we're doing a DIY, right? Caffeine certified. It's the year 2024. My initials, some numbers I like, and then COF for coffee. That's how I designed this. I thought it was cute. Hope you like it. All right. I just think it looks really cute, and I love the logo. The logo I designed on canvas, so that was kind of fun. So here we are in the machine. I've got everything, my vinyl onto the fabric I'm using, covered it with butcher paper. Now you can see the top. I'm pressing the plus button. It's going to lower the machine on its own, and then once 30 seconds has cycled through, it's going to just raise it by itself, beep 3 times, raise the lid, and the thing slides out. Okay, now I am peeling it warm because, as I said, I can do that with my vinyl, and this is what it looks like. I think it looks great, especially right directly on that grain sack material. It looks like a coffee grain sack bag. I researched it. I went online to see what coffee grain sack bags look like. That's how I got the idea for my design. Okay, so let's go to gluers for a moment. You've got your one long piece of fabric. You're going to have right sides together, folded, and you're going to glue down both short sides, leaving that top edge open. Once that is glued, you're going to flip it right side out, and now you're going to work on putting your design on there. You're going to put your design on here 3 inches down from the top, because we're going to roll that top edge down later to get it all finished off. Basically, we're rolling it about 3/4 of an inch once. Okay, and then we're going to roll it 3/4 of an inch down again. And then once you place your design, I'm going to put a little pin in here, kind of show you and keep it closed. Then once you place your design 3 inches down from the top, unrolled, your design will be centered on your bag. Is that understandable? And then you're going to go ahead and glue this down. And in gluers, you're going to sit here and wait, because this next portion is for us sewers. All right, so sewers, same thing though. All right. You're going to place it 3 inches down from the bottom, and you're going to sew it to that top layer of fabric only. We have not sewed our bag together yet. We are simply getting our design onto the bag. We have to have our bag unsewn so that, of course, we don't sew our bag together when we just sew our design on the front, right? And I'm doing just like the pillow. I'm going around twice around this design to make it fun, make it farmhouse, make it vintage, however you want to call it. To me, that's farmhouse vintage. Let's make it fun and crooked. All right. Finish this up, and then we'll take a look at it. Here's what it looks like all the way around. We have a little Bella tail in the upper left corner here. And now I'm going to go around and just kind of pull on the edges of the fabric a little bit, pull up those strings, fray the edges, make it look like a little bit of a grain sack, old, distressed. Okay. And then we'll move on to the rest here. Once that's done, our long piece of fabric, or if you have 2 short pieces, you're now going to put right sides together. Okay, sewers, gluers, remember you're sitting here waiting. And we're going to sew, remember I'm making sure my right sides are together. We're going to sew down short side, leaving that top edge open. I've done that off camera. Here it is, left side sewn, right side sewn, all the way down, 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? And now we're going to flip it. Gluers, you're with me now. We're all together. Gluers and sewers, we're together. We're going to flip that top edge down about 3/4 inch, okay? We're going to start to get our handles on and finish that top edge, all right? About 4 inches in, we've only flipped once. You're going to make a mark on that first flip, 4 inches in from the side. Again, that's the left side. We're going to go to the right side. About 4 inches in, just make a mark. I'm just using an ink pen. It'll get covered. We're going to put our handle on now. So you're going to put your handle in on that 4 inch mark. Okay, I'm putting it right up at that edge, right up against that mark. Gluers, you're going to glue that down. I'm going to spot glue it down so you can see. And then you're going to flip it over to the other side. All right, now here's what you want to look at. Make sure that your handle isn't like folded down like this. Kind of see how I'm running my finger up around, making sure it's all up as I flip it over to the other mark. So it wants to look like this, like an N shape. Don't have it like a folded shape, like a V shape. You don't want the V shape or it's not going to hang right on your shoulder, okay? No V shape. You want it to look like an N shape. Is that understandable? And then go ahead and glue that down. Again, I'm just going to spot glue that down. All right, and then I'm going to flip to the other side. Now we've got our handle over on that other side. Now you can just match up on this side where you need it to be. Again, making sure it's an N shape and not a V shape and gluing it down. And gluers, you're going to glue it down really good, okay? And now we're going to flip it down another 3/4 inches. It's going to look funny because our handle's now in a downward position, but don't worry, we'll get it back to an upward position in a minute. And gluers, you're going to glue that down, ample glue, enough glue really well, because this is where you're going to be tugging and pulling on that bag, okay? I'm going to go ahead and pin mine down. My bag all the way around. So it's into position. Gluers, you're gluing it all the way around. You're folding and gluing, I guess I should say. I'm pretending to glue and pinning, okay? Gluing, ample glue. You could do hot glue, fabric glue, whatever works for you. All right, all the way around, finishing that up, okay? Finish gluing that up. Again, I'm going to add another pin in here. Now we want to move our handles back into the upright position. Gluers, you're going to ample glue right here really well and flip your handle up. I did it this way because I'm modeling it after the one that I bought, but advanced sewers, you can totally go in if you know how to do it. I do, of course, and you can hide your handle in there, but I'm modeling it this way to make it easier for gluers and maybe beginner sewers to get this done. So gluers, again, you're gluing your handles in an upward position. I'm just spot gluing here, but ample glue, really good. All right, and I'm going to pin these in on all 4 edges of your handles. If you're a gluer and you want to add some hand stitching in on those handles, please do so. That will just help reinforce it even better, okay? Sewers, we're going to sew along the bottom edge all the way around on that lip, and then we're going to do the same thing on the top edge all the way around, okay? I'm going to do that off camera. Here it is done, and when I got to the handles, I backstitched like 3 or 4 times just to really reinforce it. If you wanted to do like an X pattern here, you could do that because it would give it a little bit of pretty design on the front side of the bag, but backstitching enough here was fine. Like I said, gives us that extra reinforcement, and it worked great. Now we're going to flip our bag right side out, okay? Hopefully I've made this very minimal sewing and gluing and easy for you. The easiest would be just buy a bag and glue your design on front, right? So I'm going to poke out all the corners, make it look really nice, of course. Show you how it looks. Couple more things here. This is what it looks like. Super cute. If you wanted a closure for your bag, Dollar Tree has these great, I'm really like impressed with these. They work really well. This great hook and loop tape in the automotive section, and they just stick right on. You could do that. I don't want that because I don't want to mess with it. Now I'm coming in with some of that black paint mixed with water and a fan brush, just like I did on the pillow. I'm adding some splatters. Again, it will cure in 28 days. I won't have to worry about it. And then I wanted to add a cute little handmade tag here. I could have sewn it on the bag, but I just decided to faux sew it on the sides, and I'm just going to glue it down on the right side near the bottom underneath that top layer of fabric of our design here. Okay, this is just some extra little pretties, and then once I glue that in, that makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. Let's move on to our last project, number 3. For this project, I'm going to use one of these mason jars, these ball jars, old ball jar. You could use any other kind of vintage looking jar. My cousin gave me this one on the right, but I wanted something a little bit taller so I wouldn't have to do much adjusting. I'm going to use these rollers, hair rollers from Dollar Tree. They have different sizes. This is the largest size. I'm going to use some fabric here I got at Hobby Lobby. I'll try to find them online and put the link down below for you. All right, I'm using a stripe and a check material. I'm using a little bit of this padded material. This is optional, but I wanted a backing for this 100% cotton material that we're going to put our quote on. Now, what I'm going to do is wrap this up. And so I'm just kind of ripping my fabric to wrap the curler up. Okay, I'm going to make it look like a peppermint stick. Did I just say that? Yes, I did. I am standing up for my rights. We're 1 day away from July, and you know what that means. Christmas in July. I'm doing it early. Who's with me? Can I get an amen? What you want to do is I've also cut 2 small pieces of fabric that I'm putting over the end of the curlers to cover that up. And then I'm just using my glue to kind of wrap it around the ends like a present. Okay? Just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other end. So I just glued it like a little 2x2 square over the end, and then I'm just wrapping it like a present to wrap it in. And then don't worry, of course, we're going to cover those wrapped areas here in just a minute with our piece of fabric. I'm going to go sideways with my stripe. You could go long ways, and I just glued down one long edge of the fabric, and I'm just going to roll it onto that curler. I'm doing it nice and thick because then I have to use less curlers because the thickness of the fabric will take up more space in my jar. And then I just glue down that edge and it's done. And I've used all 6 curlers. If you can only find the smaller ones, you might want to make a few more of these, but here it is. I love how they turned out, nice and easy. I'm not doing a whole lot to this jar, so if I want to take this apart between seasons, I can just take all the stuff off, put it aside. I can have my jar up during the rest of the year just plain, and then, when it comes to Christmas, I can assemble it back together and ready to go. So I'm just placing my peppermint sticks in the jar how I want it. Love it. This is what it looks like. Of course, I'm going to put my lid on, and then the little metal handle over the top. That's my favorite part of the jar. Let's add just a little bit more to it. I've got a ripped strip of fabric here, about 2 inches wide. I'm not sure how long it is, probably about 30 inches. And I'm just weeding it through the wire handle of the jar, and I'm just kind of tying it to the side of it. And I'm just going to tie it into a real easy bow. Okay, nice and easy here. Right, get my bow in. I like my tails nice and long. You can do it as short as you want it. So this is what it looks like. All right, and then we'll go ahead and start working on our design here. I think that looks really cute. All right, so for the design, this is the design I did. Now, this is a little bit bigger than I wanted. In the final looks, you're going to see it smaller because I was thinking I needed a little bit bigger to kind of compensate for the bigness of the jar, but I printed it smaller later. But this is what it kind of looks like. But you will be able to kind of resize your PDF or your PNG however you want it. And I'm just ripping some of that 100% cotton fabric to fit my vinyl piece here, of course. I'd make a little slit and then I rip the fabric to it. And like I said, the padding down below is just to kind of make the tag a little bit thicker. You could do 2 pieces of fabric and a little bit of batting in between, but I had this little excess piece of quilted fabric that I got at Joann's, so I'm just kind of cutting it to fit the back because it's already kind of finished off and ready to go. All right. Get that to size, and now of course I'm placing it in our machine, sliding the drawer in. I'm going to press the plus button. It's going to lower. 30 seconds later, beep 3 times. Raises up and tray slides out and it's done. Peeling it warm, we're ready to go. Those of you that are gluers, you can just glue it on. I'm going to sew around it off camera. You already know you've seen me do the sewing. Then once it's done, here's what it will look like. Here we go. I did twice around it just to go with everything else. Now I'm going to take some Distress Oxide ink and Vintage Photo. I'm going to take one of my little ink daubers here. Oh, I'll try to remember. I get these in a bag of, you can get them at most, like Hobby Lobby, you can get them at Michael's, Joann's, but I'll have the link to Joann's to these little finger ink daubers if you want to get some of those. Or is it Hobby Lobby? I'm not sure. I'll have a link down below for you where I got these ones. All right. And then I just inked around it so that the quote would pop up a little more, giving a little halo. I'm going to use a Rusty Stars, some pip berries, that I get from Hobby Lobby, some greenery from Hobby Lobby, a cute little safety pin here, and I'm just going to add the star to the safety pin and then just pin it to the bow. Like, I don't want to glue anything to the jar, like I stated earlier. That way I can easily take it apart, off season. This is what that looks like with the little star on there. And you could leave it just like this if you want. You can add as much or as little to this as you want. If I was making it to sell or something, I would probably add a lot more to it, to the jar and stuff like that. But since it's just kind of for myself, nice and easy, adding a little bit of glue to the greenery, and I'm just going to tuck that greenery and those berries inside the fabric itself. And I'm not adding a lot of glue here, so when I do take it apart, I can just kind of pop those out and be able to untie the ribbon. Okay, nice and easy. Or if I did accidentally add too much glue, it's not hard at all to, rip a new strip of ribbon and, make a new ribbon later and, glue more greenery and berries in it. And that is just a lot to say for what I'm doing here. Anyway, once I put all of this in here, that makes this project complete. So I hope you've enjoyed all these projects today, even if I slipped in a little bit of Christmas for you. I'm excited about it. You're going to get so much Christmas in July. You might even hate me toward the end. I don't know. I'm going for it. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know which vintage farmhouse project you liked best. And please give this video a thumbs up. It really, really, really helps my channel to grow. If you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another project from me. Remember, I will have the link down below to the Vevor 15x15 Auto Heat Press in case you're interested, as well as a discount code to give you a little bit more off. Thank you again, Vevor, for sponsoring this video. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Oh, the joy of seeing Jesus face to face, to know him enough that you immediately recognize him in your presence. It's possible, to have this kind of relationship with the King of Kings, the kind of relationship that whenever you're seeking his help, you feel his love so immediately that you could physically swear he's standing right next to you. Have you ever felt that? So deep in his presence, you could literally feel his hand on your shoulder. Jesus is only a thought away, yet sometimes in the thick of life, no matter how long a relationship you've had with him, his presence feels slightly farther than just a thought. Maybe somehow it's our own impression of him that doesn't have the faith that he really is closer than it feels. Sometimes you look and nothing's there, not a feeling, not a word heard, not a warmth felt. But whenever your faith feels low or not confident of his presence, Jesus is your next breath, your next heartbeat, your next triumph, your next failure. His word states it in the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31 and verse 8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. You must accept that just because you may not feel his presence in a particular time in your life, this verse literally means that he is always standing by your side. His spirit, his compassion, his love, his goodness, his very life gave you breath the moment he formed you. No matter what happens in your life, God lives in you. He is right here. He is right here through the joy and laughter. He is right here through the pain and loss. Regardless of what you may be facing, his faithfulness is new every morning, and his compassions will never fail. So never stop praying. Never stop searching, and always be expectant that his presence is in your life. In the Bible, the book of Psalms, chapter 27 and verse 4, it says, "One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple." The words are clear. Put them into action. Seek him. Dwell in his house. When you do, you will hear him. No matter what is happening, you will feel his safety. Then your faith will rise and your heart will realize that Jesus is indeed right next to you. And guess what happens next? You will feel his encouragement. You will feel his love. You will see him face to face and know that he never left you alone. Can you feel his hand on your shoulder now? I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.